Patreon going strong. If you want to go over there and join in on the fun, we got 3 tiers on Canadian dollars. First tier is $3 a month, where you get these episodes ad free. You also get AMAs once a month, or learn about me episodes once a month. And then on the second tier, which is $5 a month, you get everything from the first tier, as well as coverage of a reality show of yesteryear. That's right now Jersey Shore, currently in season 3. You can also go to the main feed, where there will be the first episode of every season released there, so you can try that before you head over to the Patreon. And then on the third tier, you get everything from the first 2 tiers, as well as coverage from a true crime documentary. We got the backlog of Ashley Madison documentary, Man with 1,000 Kids, Into the Fire, Lacey Peterson, and again, all those episodes for the first episode of each is in the main feed, so you can try that before you head over. So if you are interested, you can head over to patreon.com/realityt times 2, and you can sign up for whichever tier you feel for. Again, you can try before you buy, which basically means you can try any tier for a week before committing to it. Even if you are on other tier, if you are on tier 1 or the first tier and you want to go over to the second tier, you could still try that second tier for a week before committing to the upgrade. So again, that is at patreon.com/realityt times 2. And of course, the link is in the show notes, website, social media accounts. It's all available there. This episode is ad-free on the Patreon. So if you want to partake in that, you can head on over to patreon.com/realityt times 2. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I am Tanika, and today we're going to be doing a roundup episode for Suddenly Amish. So I did cover the first couple of episodes, but never actually finished the rest of it. So I figured just doing a big episode about what happened in this season after episode 2. We kind of just talk about that. So that's what I'm going to talk about here. Before I do, though, we haven't done a hot goss in a while, so I do want to add a couple things that I've heard so far. First thing, congratulations goes out to Aisha and Scott. They got married in New Zealand. So congratulations to them. I'm so happy for her and obviously Scott. And then the other thing that I've heard, I don't know if it's true. I don't, but I'm going to think it is, because I'm going to hope that one person has been fired from the show, which I believe they have been, to allow maybe this addition. No one new necessarily, but a returning addition. I've heard that Christine might be coming back to Selling Sunset. Make it happen. Oh, it's going to be so good if it is true. But guess we'll see what happens with the upcoming seasons for Selling Sunset. But that's basically the hot goss there. Let's just jump into this and kind of talk about this season on a whole. So, as we know, Matt, who got chased away with an axe by James, he ends up leaving, right? Which is whatever. He ends up leaving. My biggest thing with this whole thing with him leaving was Kendra losing her ever-loving mind and literally dancing in the rain in front of these Amish people. Uh, because of this guy she only knew for a week. What in the Lord? Like, w- mm, yep, therapy. James gives zero fucks, he says, because I think he has some darkness in him. Pot, meat, kettle, because I'm pretty sure there is some darkness in you, James. Anyways, then there were the bats. The bats having to push the group with Alan. Alan's right at the time. And Sarah pushing them out with Kendra, and I can't remember who was in that house with Kendra. Not Esme, because Esme was in the other group. Anywho's pushing them out and putting them into that same house with James and Emma and everybody else. Maybe there really were bats. Sure sounded like there was actually bats. But it just seems very convenient. I feel like production is like, hey guys, let's bring bats because they think bats is a bad omen. So let's bring in the bats, which is going to have to force them out of the house. And then we're going to bring them into the one house, which makes filming easier. Secondly, it's going to create maybe some drama. Because how does everyone fit in that house? It's not a big house. But anyways. So yeah, bad omen. BJ is not about this. She doesn't want to deal with bats. So because of that, we evacuate the house, like I said, and they go James and Emma. Then the phone shanty, y'all, which is basically just an outhouse with a phone and no toilet. But spoiler alert, this shanty doesn't get built until the second to last episode of the season. What was the point? Oh, let's do it now that the show's over. Um, it they had the whole season, and yet that phone shanty was not built until literally they're leaving and through, like they're making the what you call it, the redemption, no, that's not it, the reckoning, that's it. The reckoning is happening in literally 3 days. Oh, look, we built the phone shanty. What the? Anyway, that's that. However, Kendra is dying to talk to her mother. So this is before the shanty was built. She's dying to talk to her mother because, again, she's having a breakdown over a guy she only knew for a week. So she needs to talk to her mom. Her mom helps ground her. So she pulls James aside. I don't know how she found this out. I don't know who told her this, but someone told her that James has a phone. So she's literally going to James to beg him for the phone. But she's doing it in such a way where she's like, I want to make it seem like it's your idea, that you're giving me the phone. So she basically is like, so I heard you have a cell phone. Like, I'm dying to call my mom. Well, we're, we're building the phone shanty, but it's not going to get built until 2 episodes before the show's over. You won't even be here anyways. So, you can always wait for that said phone shanty that you won't use ever. So, yeah. And she just starts freaking out this morning. She's like, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go home. First of all, ma'am, I would really want to know who told you he has a cell phone because it's contraband. He's not supposed to have a cell phone. So how do you know he has a cell phone? The only thing I can think of is production. Production told her to ask him because we heard he has a cell phone. Yeah, he was shunned from his other community because he had a cell phone and alcohol. So yeah, we think that if you really want to talk to your mom, you go ask James. He'll give you a phone. So yeah, she says she wants to go home, but he I don't think he wants her to go home. He makes it about the fact of, oh, we already lost a person that he literally told him to leave and shoot him off of his property with an axe. Okay. But anyways, because we have people dropping like flies right now, I don't want her to leave. So what does he do? He gives her the phone. He gives her the phone. And when he gives her the phone, she talks to her mom. It's very brief, but she does talk to her mom. And afterwards, she hugs him. He does hug her back. But it's like, I'm watching this initially thinking, oh no, he's doing this because he has a thing for Kendra. And because like when he says, I think he said something along the lines of like, I have a soft spot for her. I don't want her to leave. You barely know her. She wasn't in your home before the bat situation. So how much were you really talking to her? Firstly. Secondly, you don't know her. So it was a weird thing that he said, which gave me more pause and made this feel a little weird for me because I wonder if he would do this for anybody else. Probably not. But because he has a thing for her, he's doing it for her in order to keep her here. Thinking, well, if I do this for her, she'll stay. And maybe she'll make me a good Amish wife. It actually made me pretty sick to my stomach watching this. But yeah, that's basically what happens with that. So we kind of go into the men changing into their Amish clothing. And we find out, which I found this actually very interesting. I did not know that this was actually a thing. But the men typically do not wear beards unless they are married. The beard is supposed to signify marriage. So both Judah and Aaron both have beards. So they say you have to shave your beard because you're not married men, so you can't keep your beards. So Aaron's like, okay, cool, yeah, I will, no problem. So he shaves. Judah, on the other hand, does not, and he says, people who look like me, they shave and don't shave in the way they need to shave could get razor bumps. So he basically refuses to shave his beard. Now, I do appreciate that Alan didn't push it with Judah. I do think partially the reason they don't push it is probably production's like, hey, no, we're going to get canceled before we even start here because he's a black man. Yeah. So things are a little bit different for them. So yeah, that's something I do get it. But on the other hand, I do wonder what would have happened if he'd tried. Or if they were able to get something that they could have dealt with that. But I think that's the biggest thing. I do wonder if he would have done it, if he could have been insured. If you need something to help your skin to not get those razor bumps, I think he may have considered it. But technically, those types of products are considered vanity. So you wouldn't be able to do that. So yeah, I do appreciate Alan not forcing him, but I also um this kind of we did see him kind of say, "Oh, we do have Amish people in the community," but I think it's all about what someone is used to doing and how they're able to do things. If those black people, which I can't imagine there's many, but if those black people are shaving, their skin could be used to that, used to the straight razor, used to how they have to shave, used to the products that could help their skin to help, with any breakouts that could happen. Because, um, you know, black people's skin is very different than other races, right? So I got that part, but I think for Judah, because he isn't used to those products and isn't used to those things, his skin isn't used to those things, it's not maybe gonna go very well. Um, and there might not be a lot that he can do to rectify that situation while being in the community. So I appreciate him not wanting to do it, and I appreciate Alan not pushing it because Alan's a sweet man. Anyways, so yeah, he doesn't do it. Meanwhile, while he's refusing to not shave, Esme we're finding out, wasn't able to change into her Amish clothing because she still had her lashes and her nails. They had this deal that she was going to remove the nails, remove the lashes within a week. It's been more than a week. And she still has those things. And she wasn't willing to give up those things at that time. Which is like, okay, well, now you've gone against the thing that you, along with them, agreed on. And she doesn't want to even do this, even though she agreed she would. So that bothered me, and it did bother others. And she's like, "Well, this is why I'm not religious, ma'am. Being Amish is more than a choice. So I mean, everyone's a choice, but it's more than a lifestyle. It is literally a religion. So you say, this is why I'm not religious, but you've literally come to a community that hinges on faith. I'm sorry, what am I missing? Like, what? I literally wrote all in caps, why are you here? And she's like, I came here to not be judged on my looks, but that's what's happening. No, they're not trying to judge you. Well, technically, yes, they are judging you on your looks. They're judging you on the fact that you do not fit in with the community currently, with the nails and with the lashes, especially. But you told us, the audience, that you're tired of having to worry about how you look or how you dress and constantly being Instagram ready and that kind of thing. Here, you don't have to do any of that. So, like, why not just get rid of them? If this is something you don't want to have to worry about. Um, both Emma and this other lady that's helping with them getting changed, I find that they were very supportive in saying to her, like, you don't need these things. God's gonna love you for you. You don't need these things. What she got from that is, oh, they're being mean girls because they're like, we want you to be happy with yourself. Currently, right now, it appears you are not happy with yourself. So this is where she kind of says, oh, they're being Amish mean girls. Explain to me how they're being Amish mean girls. Because they're telling you something that you don't want to hear? That doesn't make them mean girls. That this means you disagree with them. This isn't Regina George. You know, this is, I don't know, not Regina George. So it's not, I just didn't understand where she got this idea of they're Amish mean girls, because I did not get that from them. But when the guys and the women all see each other after getting dressed, um, the two-sidedness of what is going on here, with the fact that Judah was able to change, and without him shaving his beard, he was able to change it to the Amish clothing. For her, she isn't willing to give up her lashes and her nails, and yet she wasn't able to change, despite, like, Judah was able to. Here's what I'm gonna say about that, and yes, I can understand the the hypocrisy of this. I get it. However, the difference, I think, with Emma, with Esme and Judah is they told her from the jump, lashes and the nails have to go. She fought back with that. So the compromise was, okay, we'll give you a week to get rid of it. And the week came and went, and you still were hung up on it. That's going against what everyone agreed to. With Judah was never told this. There was a comment or something about the beard, but it wasn't like it was explicitly said, oh, you can't wear a beard because of this reason. Oh, you don't want to get rid of a beard? Okay, we'll give you a week. That conversation never came up. So I think that's the difference here, is they told him nothing, whereas they told her this is what they need. So, but either way of how I just explained this, Judah is like, why could I get dressed but Esme can't? Because like we're in a similar boat. And Judah's like, I won't wear this because I didn't conform, just like she didn't conform. Yeah, I'm the one wearing it and she's not. So he doesn't take the clothes off. He just leave it on despite that. But, because by the next episode, she removes her lashes and she removes her nails. So she is able to put the dress on, which is, I think, a pretty big deal. Good for her. So Alan takes Aaron to Jacob's house to paint Jacob. Jacob. We're going to be talking about Jacob. Yeah. Alan's basically like, yeah, he's going to join the Amish. Okay. Hey, Jacob, are you interested in English women? Sure. Because, I may know someone who might be interested as well. Meanwhile, while this conversation is happening, the women are churning butter. Churn, baby, churn, disco inferno. But of course, churning of the butter does give off a sexual situation. So yeah. And we're all obviously making about, I guess, hand jobs or, yeah, stuff like that. James gets Aaron these hearing aids from 1980, and he says it's not good. He's really struggling with this, but he's trying. Hi everyone. So I have a new product for you to take part in. This is for J Armor wallets. Now you can get these wallets for a pretty good price. Partially, it seems at this point, partially American made, but they're going to be planning to be completely American made by the year 2027. The fun part is that you can actually see what new wallet styles are going to be coming in 2026. So a little bit about the company. The company was founded by Jake Hernandez, who is also a part of the U.S. Air Force veteran, or he is a U.S. Air Force veteran. So with his business, he is also supporting charities like anti-child labor organizations, veteran support programs, and efforts to rebuild American manufacturing. So this is clearly something that is very important to him, and honestly, really important to me as well. And for going to the link in the show notes, which I will say what that link is in a minute, but going to the link in the show notes not only helps support this podcast, but is also helping to support J Armor as well as helping support the charities that he finds near and dear to him. So if you go to the show notes and you find that link, the link is jarmorwallets.com/reality times 2. So that is j-armorwallets.com/REALITEATIMESTWO. So I hope you go on and support not only me, but as well as this company. Now, that's enough of me. Let's go back to the episode. Okay, guys, so I had to take a break. Hopefully there's no overlap. There might be an overlap, but this section is so much fun that I will no issues redoing it again. So, anyways, okay. So let's finish this episode. So BJ is going on her date with Jacob. They go on a walk. He's thought about being Amish, or sorry, being English, but who knows really? Blue is my favorite color, she says. Okay. I like your haircut. Okay. I want to be Amish, but I am wild and free. Okay. I have a tattoo. Okay. You want to see it? Okay. It's my birthday. Okay. You have any tattoos? Yeah, the first answer. That's not okay. Holy Lord. They are hidden on his back and his legs, like a like a good Amish boy. Any other secrets you may have? Well, I have my nipples pierced. Excuse the hell out of me. Okay. And she doesn't believe him. She's like, I think you're lying. I don't believe it. Let me see it. And he's like, well, you can touch it. And she's like, well, I don't know if I'm feeling it or what's going on, but like, are your nipples hard? So he ends up showing her. And to our surprise, everybody, this guy has 2 nipple piercings. Wow. She's like, it must have been painful. Yeah, but it's the good kind of pain. Excuse me, Jacob. What is this? We have been going, okay. And then he comes out with, it's the good kind of pain. Poof. She's like, well, you're a cool Amish guy. Okay. And we're right back to it. This was a fun date. Okay. Do we shake or do we hug? So they hug. And she's like, you walk so fast. And he says, sorry. Surprisingly, he doesn't say, okay. But that's that. We don't see Jacob again. Guess who's back? Back again. Matt is back. Hide Kendra. Matt is back. Matt is back. Matt is back. Matt is back. Why is Matt back? I'm gonna have some speculations as to why I think Matt came back, but we'll talk about that. Meanwhile, the Amish is just Amishing. BJ fills everyone in on her date. And then we see Matt. And then Kendra just runs to him, slips and falls, and then hugs his leg. Like, my God, girl. Again, you only knew him for a week. But James is a pissed little boy. And he's like, look what you made. Look what you did. Kendra hurt her elbow. Look what you did. Like, he's literally blaming Matt for her falling and hurting herself. Why are you back? And Emma says to him, which I think is fair enough, was, why would you, James, make a decision without talking to everyone else? Because he is on a power trip. They go aside and say, we can give him a chance. Sure, he can't remarry, but isn't the whole point of him becoming, like bringing the English into the Amish community is because you want to procreate with people who are not closely related with each other? More on that later. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. If you can't remarry, then what's the point? Emma says, why were you so eager to get rid of him? Are there maybe feelings for Kendra? And, like, are you jealous? And, maybe he is. Maybe he's not the only one who might be jealous. More on that later. Um, he's like, I don't know. Did I do that? And Emma says, you would not be a good match. You would fight like cats and dogs. And he comes back with, well, they get along though. Okay. So Alan says, you can stay, Matt. It was 3 against 1, though, James has to say, because let's not forget that he hates him for his own reasons. But look, Esme is judging, being like, I don't want Matt here because we're all worked hard. Aaron is also on the fence. And it's like, so we're just jumping into the Amish lifestyle and blaming people for things. Like it was out of his control. It wasn't that he wouldn't have work to be there or whatever. He was literally chased off of James's property with a freaking axe. I think anyone would believe it in those circumstances. Oh, look, guys, it's the bishop. He's actually here. We only see him maybe 2 or 3 more times this season. So, like, what's her face on Selling Sunset? What was her name again? Da, 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 no. It's a Davina. That's it. Like Davina, we're going to have these interesting moments of when the random person who, well, in Davina's case, she didn't really need to be part of the show, but the bishop should be here a little bit more often, but more on that later. We're heading to church, like real church. They gave Matt his clothes, his Amish clothes, out of respect for the church, but he will have to give them back when they get back because he hasn't worked for it. The church experience is an all-day event. They gotta go through what the all-day event is. Like, they actually have the mass itself, which is about, like, 3 or 4 hours, and then they have lunch, and then don't they have something else that they did too? Like, it's literally an all-day event. Um, the guys and the women are separated, and Judah feels like pepper in a salt bucket. Yeah. The whole mass was also in Pennsylvania Dutch, so they didn't understand what was being said. All of the English peeps did dip after church. Instead of Aaron and James, they did hang back. So, yeah. So while they're sitting to have dinner, we got a Rumspringa right beside of the house. And James is, they go out to the Rumspringa, which, I'm sorry, of all places that the Rumspringa would have been, it's literally right beside James's house. Come on, production. Try a little harder next time, please. Um, and also, like, I just assume that maybe Rumspringa would happen in an area that's not Amish. You know what I mean? Or at least is not a part of the Amish community. It's interesting that the Rumspringa happens literally on Amish property. Anyways, um, so anyway, James is drinking. Kendra starts twerking and he's enjoying the view. She's looking at Matt while he's watching her. And, or James, I should say, is watching her. And Emma, all of a sudden, who's cousins with James, I gotta put that out there, is unhappy about the fact that James is watching Kendra. Um, and then they are fighting, something like maybe couples would do, except they're cousins. It's cousins as being cousins, y'all. It's fine. Oh, guys, Vernon's back, the bishop. He's meeting with the English people. And Judah's like, honestly, I think this is a cult. So wait, you think this is a cult? Yet you're here and you're actually telling him to his face that I think this is a cult? It probably is, and it probably started off that way. But hey, most religions start off as cults. It's fine. And James is real strict. BJ cannot with the heat. She's over it, y'all. Oh, and James chased me with an axe. Oh, well, that's an excessive reaction. Why didn't a fucking soul tell, oh, I don't know, the bishop? Why didn't the bishop make a decision to whether or not Matt could stay or not stay with the information that was given to them? You know what I mean? Why was it up to this freaking guy named James to make that decision? Or even Alan, but I mean, I love Alan. So Alan can do no wrong for me. But it's just like, why isn't the bishop more involved? That's the problem with the show, is I don't think the bishop is that involved when he maybe needs to. And then he brings in James and Emma to talk. So you're cousins, huh? Yeah, they're cousins. You look alike? That's a weird question. And then they're gonna start talking about their eyes and how I think it was she has blue-green eyes. And then she's like, it's reflecting, or he says, maybe it was him with the blue-green eyes. He's like, it's reflecting you. What in the Lord? God, I don't even let my boyfriend talk like that. They say that we're best friends. And in the moment, she asks him, would you date me, James? You're supposed to be third cousins. I thought the whole point. Okay. And he says, I don't know. The correct answer is no. She says he taught me a lot of what she knows. We never hooked up though. But they have like this weird giggling thing between them. And I'm just like, what is happening here? More on that later. Then we see video surveillance of Emma going into the bathroom. She's fully clothed. And then we see James. I think it was a bathroom. I'm going to assume it was a bathroom. Coming out of a room. But then we see James. He's coming out in nothing but a towel wrapped around him. And he's going in there as well. The only thing I can think of is either they are having sex in the bathroom where there's no camera. But I don't think there's cameras in their rooms. There are cameras in the English people's rooms, but not theirs. Or at least we never saw footage of them having cameras in their room. But it's for sure there's not going to be a camera in the bathroom. So either they're having sex in the bathroom or they already had sex in the room and then went into the bathroom. I don't know. It's very weird. So Kendra and Matt go on a date. No touchy. No touchy. No touchy. It brings in the devil, y'all, if you start touching. And then the date gets crashed by Emma saying, you gotta be about an arm's length from each other. Yeah. You guys are too close to each other. Yeah. I'm making you a stick so you know how far you need to be apart from each other. What the hell? How does she just show up? How does she just randomly show up? So then we go swimming in our clothes, and there's a lot of physical touch in front of Emma at this point because it's about safety. Yeah. James is pissed. And he says to Matt, you're an English guy trying to take our Amish women. They're not technically Amish. And he says as much. He's like, is Kendra in the Amish church? Well, no, but she's trying. Well, we could talk when she actually is. Boom, boom. But then that will never happen because Kendra ends up deciding to go to a hotel with Matt. BJ is unhappy. And then BJ tells Judah. And then it gets to James somehow. And James, he says, I'm coming to save you, Kendra. I'm coming to save you. Then bang, bang, bang. They're like, the fuck? They realize it's James because he went to the hotel. He's like, bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. Dude, stop banging. I'm sorry. If I was like their neighbors, I would be like going out there saying, will you shut the fuck up? They're not answering the door. You crazy shit. He just wants to talk to them. Sure. She says, we weren't hooking up. So James gets up when he leaves, but do I believe they didn't hook up? I mean, it's possible that they didn't have sex, but something definitely happened. Like, come on. Emma is like, I don't agree with the hotel thing, but she does not agree with James going after them either. Like, it's not your place. It's so wrong. You clearly like Kendra. And there's no comment from him on that one. Which, yes, he could very well be trying to be like staking his claim, but you don't do that. That's weird. So Matt goes back to the house without Kendra. And he's like, nope, I'm out. We can fight it and people here. And that has to be the only way James found out. Yeah, it's fair. But also, she's been doing this for a week and she seemed to be doing well within the Amish community for the most part. And you swoop in and all that goes to shit. So I can understand people being like, what in the Lord is happening right now? So he won't even talk to anyone. And BJ's like, to treat us like we did you dirty is so wrong. You kind of did do him dirty. Let's be real. Like, again, I agree with the reasons for telling James or telling people what was going on. I, however, also agree with the fact that you did do them dirty. You did. And then here comes Kendra, because he's now gone when Kendra comes after. Can we all talk, she says, and if they want to. And BJ doesn't seem at all impressed. So she says, okay, well, I'll just talk to Sarah and Alan then. So everyone files out to talk. And she says, I feel like the light in me has been diminished. And BJ's like, what gives you two the right to go to a hotel as if you didn't sign up for this? Yeah. What about an apology for us, to us for your actions? Trifling ass bitch. Oh, shit. She called her a trifling ass bitch. And Kendra says, I feel attacked. And she is being attacked. I do think BJ's reaction to this is extreme, but just to kind of give the context of it later on, when she kind of is like, I've dealt with friends who've done this before. And she's sick and tired of that. So I do understand that. She said, I didn't do this to hurt anyone. Everyone is like, she maybe has a right to feel this way because she's the closest to you. But BJ comes back out and says, I'll talk to you. I felt like another friend doing what a boy wants. Well, that's what was happening here. And I was mad. But I love you regardless. And then Kendra's gone. And James is like, it sucks to see her go. Such potential. She would have made a good Amish wife. Ew. Ew. Oh, yeah. Ew. Sad she didn't stay longer. There was natural chemistry. With whom? I don't think there was natural chemistry. I don't even think she thought of you in that way. What chemistry? Delulu. Then, Emma chooses to leave. She says because of how things went with Matt and Kendra, that's why she's leaving. When asked if it's about James, I don't know what you're asking. Okay. Clearly, your non-answer is an answer. Oh, look, guys, Vernon's back. He's back. He came back. Alan and Sarah go to see him this time because we dropping like flies. And Alan kind of says in this point, I think James and Emma were maybe being inappropriate with each other. You damn Skippy. You damn Skippy. And then we see a car rolling up. And y'all, lo and behold, it's Judah's mom. And she's like, I plan on taking my son home with me. If he doesn't, there'll be a fight. Bad people are not meant for this. Amen, sister. We don't make it out of places like this in the movies. Amen to that again. And then she sees him and she's like, he lost some weight. No, see, black people are not meant for this. This is Chainsaw Massacre, okay? We are not meant for Chainsaw Massacre. We do not survive, okay? We weren't even in the original movie, okay? We don't even make it. You know what I mean? So I get it. I think we're doing a little bit better, but I get it. Oh, look, the phone shanty is built. Right before decision day. James was stalling because he thought a clean cut would be better. Okay. Of course not, Jacob. Everyone calls someone, but Esme does not remember any numbers, so it might be a little more difficult for her. So his mother is just like, Judah, they won't hurt you. They're eating dinner. Meaning the chickens. I don't want to be on the menu. Ma'am, they are chickens. They do not eat people. They eat seeds and whatnot. You're fine. I literally wrote, ma'am, this is a Wendy's where we have chickens and cows. They will not eat you though. Jeez. But she is really pushing him to leave, and he won't be told what to do. If you can't accept what he is trying to do here, then you might want to think of leaving. So the women are making period pads. This is a very interesting situation. It's basically terry cloth sewn together. They use black so it doesn't stain. Sounds about right. Not many people use tampons or other pads. And Esme's kind of all about this. She's like, but anyways, not many people use tampons or other pads. And Esme's a little bit more about this than BJ is. She's about, sort of, saving the environment. So she's a little bit more about it. Me? Not me, not I. Mm-mm. Not me, not I. But then we hear a sound we have not heard at all in this process. A phone. And she picks up, it's Judith's mom's phone. She picks up the phone. She's like, no, I'm not around. I'm with other people right now. And they're like, hey, no phones at the dinner table, which again is like, you might think that's quote unquote Amish, but I think there are people who live English lives who don't have a cell phone at the dinner table. I think it's kind of rude. And this is where we learn that maybe where the codependency kind of comes from. We learned that Judah got grazed by a bullet on his neck, and that made her cling on to him a little bit more. She tries one last time before she leaves to kind of get him to come home with her. She's like, stop hanging with Jason and come home with me. Jason lives in the lake. Jason wouldn't be here. I think who you are talking about is Leatherface. Just an idea. Anyways, um, I'm your only friend, she says to him. That's the problem. Ma'am, that's the problem. And not to say that you can't be his friend, but that's the problem. He deserves to have more than just his mom be his only friend. And she says, I'm your best friend. But he says, I feel useful here, but I'm going to stay here because I am growing here. And she says, well, I'll respect that and respect your decisions. Well, that was easy because you're over here being like, I'm taking him home. I'll respect your decisions. Wow, okay. But then BJ, she ain't doing so well, y'all. She's throwing up. She's dizzy. Her head hurts. It's called dehydration, heat stroke. She's hot. So they take her to the hospital, and Judah stays by her side the entire time. But that's exactly what she has. She was diagnosed with heat exhaustion. So she gets an IV, and as soon as the IV's in, she's like, I'm already feeling better. And it's at this point I'm thinking, there's no way in hell she's going to stay Amish. There's just no way. We're not in a little bit. Then a conversation is had about being queer in the Amish community. And Alan says, well, we don't hate queer people, but you would be shunned because, well, these are Bible loving people in the core of things, right? And in the Bible, it says being in a same sex relationship is against God's wishes. It's something, it's a sin. So don't do that. So, of course, someone who identifies as queer is going to be shunned. And it's not like it doesn't happen that there just aren't queer people. I can't remember his name, but I do remember a guy who was a part of Breaking Amish, I think it was Breaking Amish, who was a designer. He kind of wanted to design clothes. And I think he did come out as, I believe, gay. Or maybe he was bi, I can't remember, but he did come out in some degrees as queer. And I think he did choose to leave the community. But I imagine that if he decided to stay, it wouldn't have worked out for him. So Judah just at the last second here admits to being bisexual. But of course, as I've just mentioned in the Bible, Alan says it's mentions one man and one woman. Adam to the Eve, you know what I mean? So, oh look, guys, it's Vernon for the last time. So we learn here the process, because we're at the reckoning now, which we're going to talk about this whole process here of how they did this and pissed me off. We find out the the process to become Amish. So basically, to become Amish, it takes about 2 to 3 years. During that time, you would be expected to participate in mutual aid projects. You would then learn Pennsylvania Dutch at the end, you would do a 6-month discipleship where you will explore Amish theology, and then do an adult baptism, which you would be officially Amish. So it's reckoning time, y'all. This is the day of finding out if they're going to be accepted into the Amish community and if they're going to accept being in the Amish community. So Alan speaks for each person first, and he's like, he's the sweetest because he's awesome. And Vernon's like, any recommendations? And he says, Judah, you're like a son to me. Mm, I will be ready to help if any of them chose to stay. But then there's James, who is the wild card here. We really don't know what the hell he's going to say. But of course, he doesn't disappoint, and he says he's an asshole. But Vernon does, I think, acknowledge that he's going to be an asshole here. And he says, I think your opinion might be just a little different than Alan's. And he's like, they love something from their life, which, yeah, this is how they grew up. I can imagine, think of it the other way around. If you decided to become English, wouldn't you maybe miss parts of being Amish? It's not crazy because you grew up that way. So anyway, he says, BJ, she loves her AC. Esme has one foot out the door. Oh, that's true. Aaron needs his hearing aids. God forbid he can't hear shit. You know what I mean? And Judah. And you're thinking, oh no. Oh shit. But he says instead, what do you actually want? And Judah says, like, from what? And he's like, do you want to be Amish? Because, he wants to be creative in ways that we don't do that here. That's all you got? I mean, that's not actually all he got, but really? And Vernon's like, he wants individuality, but I think we should meet him where he is. I actually appreciate you, Vernon. Thank you. But the church accepts everyone in. But of course, it is up to them if they want to accept that. But they won't make that decision here. And I was like, I'm sorry, what now? This is supposed to be Reckoning Day. This is the day of which they would be making a decision. Why are we not making a decision today? Don't threaten me with a good time, okay? And then tell me that good time is being delayed. So they take a day to think about it. But when they go outside after the fake reckoning, Vernon is like, I'm really disappointed with how things turned out with Matt and Kendra. And honestly, James, you needed this as much as they did. No one should be banging on someone's door. So I've asked, would I recommend him being unshunned? No. Boom. Good. James, you suck. Anyway, it's the next day, and Alan and James speak in Pennsylvania Dutch, and we don't even know what they're saying here, because usually when they speak in Dutch, they'll put subtitles up. That didn't happen here. But they come back with the contraband chest. This is when the decision is going to be made. Why couldn't we have done that all the same day? But anyways, so Esme chooses to go home based on the things I guess she saw in her contraband chest. And Aaron also chooses to leave too. So we have like Esme, then we have Aaron back to back. And we're thinking, oh God, everyone's just leaving, aren't they? He says, honestly, I think if they could have accommodated him in such a way where he could have had his original hearing aids, he probably would have stayed. But because he needs those hearing aids, those are the hearing aids that work for him. I wouldn't compromise that either. I would definitely choose to leave. But I do think that if things were different, he would have stayed. But BJ decides to stay Amish, and he also does Judah. That's nuts. I was expecting, were we not really expecting BJ? BJ, in a sense, I knew she probably would. But when she was having a hard time with the lack of AC and then ending up in the hospital, I'm like, there's no way. She's not staying. She's gonna be like, shit, I can't have my dream. But Judah, I'm a little shocked about it, but I think he found his place in the world, and he's gonna pursue that. Esme is happy to have her old wardrobe back, but has officially retired her face lashes. Is kind of when we're getting the updates on them. Kendra stopped accepting dance jobs if the costume was too revealing. She started dancing for her church and she got tattoos removed. She's attending Bible college and hopes to join a ministry to help girls build self esteem. Her and Matt, no surprise, they're not together. As for Matt, he's back at his job, so cool. And returned to his teaching job in Detroit, where he visits his local Amish market every weekend. There are no bats in Alan's house, so I guess the bat omen's gone. James is going to try a new community in his mission to not be shunned. Judah went back to Atlanta to break the news. I thought he was in Kansas City. Am I wrong? But anyways, he tells us while being on a phone, which was interesting to me. He's deciding whether to stay in Lancaster, but him and BJ apparently talked about getting a house together. And then Emma went back home with her family and has no plans to be a part of any further missions to recruit the English because she don't want to be around James no more. But anyways, y'all, that is the episode. The show on a whole, what I thought about it. I love an Amish show. I think if another season comes, I would probably watch it because I just love an Amish show. But I want the authenticity of what kind we got with like Breaking Amish or Return to Amish, and I want the authenticity of that. But like, and that's the part I want in this a little bit more. I want people who aren't who don't need a therapist in the worst way. I think maybe a little mix of some normalcy to some extent would be nice. Not normalcy, you know what I mean? Um, Not these huge traumas that these people have kind of dealt with. So that would be nice to maybe have a little bit of that. And I think they need to have a little bit more of the bishop, whether that's Vernon or somebody else, be more involved in this process. We really only saw Vernon like 4 times in this whole process, and I think it's very ridiculous, honestly. And he's the one that apparently is bringing these people in. So yeah, it's the first season. I think it has some work to do, but in the grand scheme of things, I enjoyed it. But anyways, that is it for me. That is it for this episode. If you liked what you heard, bear with me because I have not done an outro for the podcast in quite some time. So bear with me here. So if you liked what you heard, you can go to any of your favorite podcast apps. You can follow, make sure you don't miss a single episode. And you can also rate the podcast at either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It'd be greatly appreciated. As a reminder, any 5-star ratings that are given to the podcast or any comments that are given to the podcast will be read on the podcast, which I have done in the past. If you want to connect with the podcast through social media, you can find me at Facebook and Instagram at realityt times 2. You can also find me at Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at reality times 2 pod. I believe you can email me at realityt2 at hotmail.com, and you can have any inquiries, anything like that, any ideas, any shows or episodes you want me to cover, you can definitely do that over there. And I am going back to our old website, and that is at solo.to/realityt times 2. There you can get any of the links to anything that I didn't mention here, any of the socials, website, email, all of that. It's all there for you. And we also have a new thing there where you can help support the podcast as well. It's called a tip jar. And you could tip whatever your heart's desire if you want to support the podcast, but don't want to necessarily support the podcast in going to Patreon, for example, or any of the links in any of the advertisements. you can do it there. But since we're on the topic of Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/reality tea times two, where there you can get access to even more than what I do here. There are 3 different tiers where you can get these shows ad free, as well as our next tier up where you would get um, another reality show that's being covered. So, we have Jersey Shore that's been getting covered. That's still being covered currently at the time of recording of this outro, but the future is bright with what's to come in the future, which I will be discussing, or I have discussed. I don't even know. And then also our next tier is a true crime tier as well. So you can definitely head over for that. But that is basically it. I will also just quickly mention here too, if you're interested in a different take of a podcast that I'm a part of, we do things a little differently. You can head on over to Next Take Podcast, where I usually drop bonus episodes here on this feed, but there you get a lot more. And that podcast is making changes. We're growing, doing new things, but you can definitely head on over there if you want to just hear a little bit different than what I do over here. So you can find that podcast over at our website, solo.to/next take podcast. And there we'll have all the links to your desire that will link you to any of your favorite podcast apps or YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of it. Social medias, it's all over there. But of course, you can still find that podcast at any of your favorite podcast apps. But that is it for this episode. We'll see you next time with another episode. Bye, everybody.